Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of CS Cyber. I'm Chad.
And I'm Sean.
And if you're following along, we're going through a NIST 800-171 series. And today we are talking about identification and authentication.
Yep, correct. What is it?
What is it? All right. So identification and authentication control family, it really focuses on establishing a secure authentication mechanism and verifying your users' identities before granting them system access. So if you've already granted system access before you vetted your employees, you're in
violation.
Yeah, you're already doing it wrong. So just a couple of things. Like I just wanted to kind of go through a real world example here, right? And just a defense contractor has experienced a data breach due to a weak password policy. That's kind of how the breach gets going, right? So, and this is something that we've seen a lot of recently, right? So it's not so much, we've talked about this before, people actually hacking into a firewall or doing something like that. They're just logging into systems now. So
now they are, yeah.
With all of the security breaches that have happened, all of the reused passwords out there, having a strong identification and authentication process and mechanisms is really key. Really one of the foundational keys to really securing your infrastructure.
Yep, absolutely.
So just kind of a couple key requirements of identification and authentication. Ensure unique identifications for all users. So that's all users. And you would be surprised, probably not surprised.
I'm not.
How often I come across shared accounts, like in just doing assessments.
Well, and since you brought up the whole real world scenario thing, something that I ran into when I was doing NIST audits, especially on factory floors for manufacturing companies, is all those universal logins down on the floor. And most commonly, this came with their ERP system. So the ERP, they would just have one login for everyone in order to do all the work in the ERP system. So that was very common. Very. Happened a lot.
Yeah. Well, I see a lot of them. I see a lot of reused admin accounts.
Yeah.
I did an assessment just this week where they had no process for when users offboarded, right? When people left, all of the default accounts that they had access to were still the default accounts that they had never been changed, right? So it's really all around things like that. So ensure unique IDs, enforce multi-factor authentication, really, especially for your super users, but any place that you can enforce MFA,
right?
You should have MFA.
Agreed.
Securely store and transmit passwords and other authentication data. So don't just email the username and password to the new user. Have a mechanism in place for that, whether it's a shared password manager or something like that. And then monitor authentication attempts, right? So if you're getting a ton of repeat failed logons, maybe take a look at why Sean can't remember his password. Or
and back when I was doing stuff like this, we'd use the Netrix tool set to I would request a specific report that said, show me all the failed logins. I don't want the successful ones. I want to know what people are trying to get into and it's not working.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So this control family, I think it has 11 sub-controls, so you'll want to read down through those. And then just some practical examples of tools, right? So MFA is one, password managers we've talked about. We're kind of moving into biometrics authentications, right? So fingerprint, facial recognition, retina scans, all those things. And then really single sign-on, right? So, we're moving over to SAML and the FIDO keys and things like that. So take a look at those. I think this is one of the most difficult control families to comply with because there's so many different ways to do this. It seems like it's changing, the recommendations on resetting passwords. If you have this in place or that in place is all over the board. So I think you really have to think this through and figure out what's going to work for your organization and what you can do repeatedly.
Yeah, I agree. But you have to do something, right? A lot of organizations just have a hard time taking that first step. So it can be something as simple as the MFA that Office 365 includes with their package. So turn that on. Password managers. We use. I specifically, personally, I use Keeper. So just make some movements there. Maybe try before you're rolling this stuff out to your enterprise, use it for yourself. Like, I used Keeper for a long time before I started recommending it to people because I really wanted to understand the tool and, before I made recommendations. And then like the whole FIDO thing, I mean, we're going through a process, internally trying to, use YubiKey, which is fish-proof MFA essentially.
Yeah.
And getting away from OTPs or one-time passwords, which are basically your Google Authenticator, your Microsoft Authenticator, and that type of thing. And I would consider that more advanced things. So my recommendation is don't think that you have to start with the end product. If you want to get started with MFA and OTPs, with one-time passwords with Authenticator, and that's what roll that out. And then put a plan in place later for some of the more complex things. So don't get yourself bogged down with this is going to be too complex. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. You're exactly right. It could be as easy as, Duo or Microsoft Authenticator or something like that. So definitely look at products like that. Just some key policies. You want a identification and authentication policy, credential management procedures, access control policy, audit and monitoring policy. And I'm actually working on an episode that we'll do at the end of this that will kind of go through the major components of the policies and the documentation that you have to even think about NIST or CMMC. So,
nice.
So just some common challenges to authentication. Just user resistance to MFA. We see that all the time. Like, you're not going to put that on my phone. Like, I can't use that. So you got to find a way around that. Ensuring the password security without causing usability issues, right? So
sure, you don't want it too restrictive.
That's right. Don't make it too restrictive. Think through like service accounts and how those are going to interact and function.
Yeah, those will get in the way.
Yeah, nobody's going to be clicking MFA for all every requests. So
right.
And just start, like you said. I think just keep it simple at first, and then expand out. So, if you're looking for a place to start. Secure cyber defense. We do assessments. We have a VCSO practice. We can help you with compliance and assessments and documentation or anything you need. But
yeah, even if you want to just call and roll some of this stuff off of us, right? Happy to have that conversation. Yeah. We're not a law firm, so we're not going to bill you every minute you're talking to us. So
happy to help. So
absolutely.
All right. Well, that's all I have for today. You have anything else?
No, I sure don't. See you on the next episode.
All right. See you.